P40 stands for Planning for Tomorrow. Starting P40 really did not come because I was qualified to start it. I remember I was still in my secondary school when we started P40. It was because there was a need and we had this feeling in us that we could serve a special purpose. But studying statistics connected me with data and evidence, and I'm very passionate about trying to connect what is happening to what we are doing in the community to what impact we are actually creating using data.
You know, when we talk about Africa's economy, we often look to the cities, the skyscrapers, the tech hubs, the boardrooms. But the real foundation of Africa's economy lies far from the city lights. It lies in our rural communities, in the farmers who feed the nation, the traders who keep local markets alive, the women and youth whose hard work sustains families, yet earns the least. For decades, rural Africa has worked hard but remained poor, not because of lack of effort, but because opportunity, infrastructure, and investment really reach the ground where the work is done. Welcome to Just Africa on SOUQ News Television, where culture inspires business and leadership drives innovation. I am Omevi Idolor, and I have my favorite person, as he loves to record.
It's not a lie now. It's not a lie. Hello Nigeria, hello Lagos, hello Africa.
Yeah.
Today on Just Africa, we are going to touch on something very, very important and people that are very, very important and often neglected. It is women, children, and of course the young people, which encompass a majority of the African population.
Yeah.
So having a conversation that revolves around them would be so great, and I feel a lot of us need to pay attention to these conversations. And it was, I mean, we're going to be talking agriculture as well. But, I mean, what way to make it purposeful?
You know, talking about agriculture and development generally in Africa, like I said, most times when we hear development, we just think, or our focus is just on the big cities.
Infrastructure, that's what always
you get it.
Yeah.
There is no way you will talk about agriculture in any part of the world without your mind going to the rural sector of that country or the continent generally. But when we are not talking about advanced agriculture, people oftentimes forget that the rural places is where the food we eat in the cities come from. The lights, and those people in the cities, most of the time they don't have, the villages, they don't have good roads to transport the food products. They don't have lights, and they do not have the knowledge of internet or how to preserve some of this food. And so most of the time they just do, okay, let's do a little farming, and whatever we have as leftover, let's just sell it at a giveaway price. There is a community back in Delta State whereby, in fact, the daughter of one former governor, you know what she does? Her business is just to go into one of those rural village places and buys all the farms, the cassava plants. Now she processes it and they are exported. Of course, Gary, not exported out of the country. Now these farmers just feel, someone has come to buy my cassava.
Essentially, that's what it is.
Thank God, though, that is it. But, till tomorrow, development have not gotten to those places. And yet, all our attention and focus is on the big cities.
So essentially, agriculture is a thriving business, is a thriving sector. Although many of the players in there, just very few of them understand the value chain that agriculture brings in particular segments or sectors in it. But I mean, it's constant conversations like this and education that would evolve it, and hopefully it will get to a certain. Every country has urban cities and rural areas. It just depends on how you've been able to use your rural areas to scale up, get them to be more more included in the system of without you guys, the cities will not strive. Get them to that
you get it.
Get them to that point where they value, we're in the rural areas, but we contribute so much into the economy that we cannot be neglected. I think when we get to that point, if we can raise our rural areas to that point across Africa, I guess we'll do better.
Well, we really have to do better. So on the Just Africa show today, we ask, What if Africa's rural communities were built not as places of survival, but as centers for growth, dignity, and opportunity? This conversation is about more than farming. It is about turning local efforts into income, raw produce into value, and rural talent into economic power. It is about building systems that start with people, grow within communities, and sustain the future of the continent. So right now we have Daniel Khalid Ameny, who is a co-founder and executive director, Planning for Tomorrow. He is a statistician, environmentalist, education in emergency innovator as our guest. So as a co-founder and executive director of Planning for Tomorrow, Daniel has dedicated over a decade to designing and implementing programs in education, health, protection, and livelihoods across Africa. His experience spans program delivery, NGO operations, fundraising, and stakeholder management, with a unique focus on sustainable solutions that prioritize the needs of beneficiaries over optics. Hello, Daniel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How is Uganda right now? How is the weather? How is everything going on there?
Uganda is doing great. We just have elections coming up this week. And of course, the weather is a very dry season right now.
Okay, all right, welcome. Amolo is saying hi.
Hello, Mr. Daniel.
To him too. I've
been disturbing you the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, thank you for the support. At least I'm here on time.
Yes, you are. Okay, so let's start. Let's start from your experience. How has the pursuit of recognition influenced the way education and humanitarian programs are designed across Africa? From your wealth of experience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again for having me. I must say, across Africa, we talk a lot about impact. We want to be recognized for the work we're doing, which is equally very, very important. But a lot of the time, you find it diverts our attention. Visibility and recognition is really important, but the impact and how long it lasts within the community and the change it creates there is more important. And to me, I feel like getting close, remaining close to the community that we serve is what can help us to actually achieve that purpose.
Okay, so looking at everything right now, where have you seen recognition, even unintentionally, dilute real impact? You know, many times people just want to take the recognition. In what particular area have you seen it dilute impact?
So I have seen a number of times, especially with my colleagues. There are people you find in a year, they are flying from January to December to different events. And when you check now, I interact with them because they are friends to me. And then when I check with them on how they have been in touch with their community. Somebody tells you, I'm just learning about what happened 3 months ago right now. And that definitely something could go wrong and you're not able to solve the problem. Or when they're designing an intervention in the field and you're not there. So they may design it wrong because people that we employ are usually here with different intentions and interests. But us who started the organization or who are leading, we know the purpose. And if we are not near, very close to the community, it could lead to a wrong design or something could greatly go wrong even in the implementation.
All right, Mr. Ameny, I almost spoke French, but I don't realize French is not your mother tongue. But I see that you are a humanitarian, but majorly you're a statistician. How did you end up now forming P4T? Because I can see that written on your shirt.
Yeah.
Looks like something that you co-founded. Well, how did you dovetail into that?
Yeah. Starting P40 stands for Planning for Tomorrow. Yeah. Starting P40 really did not come because I was qualified to start it. I remember I was still in my secondary school when we started P40. It was because there was a need and we had this feeling in us that we could serve a special purpose. But studying statistics connected me with data and evidence, and I'm very passionate about trying to connect what is happening to what we are doing to in the community to what impact we are actually creating using data. With environmental health, it kind of connects because in environmental health, I studied a lot of health service delivery, the quality of it, and then environmental protection. So a lot of the things that I studied there, I'm still able to apply it in community development because we are in a refugee settlement that is situated in a former forest reserve. And when refugees settle in a place, natural resources are exploited. So I must say they don't help me directly, but the knowledge I acquired there is still able to help in my programming.
Yeah, so but then again, you've helped in designing different kind of programs from education to healthcare to an extent to sustainable community building. I mean, you run this thing for a couple of years, I'm assuming. What are the major setbacks that you've noticed? Because you mentioned a lot of gaps. That you noticed from secondary school, we've seen these gaps. What are these gaps? So that at least when we identify them, we can fix them.
So a lot of the time, programs are designed in boardrooms, and there's that always the gap of community, the context that you're taking this solution to. So when that happens, you find a program that is costing millions of dollars implemented over a long period of time. And when you come back now to check how it has impacted lives, you see the community is still at the same level. I've seen so many of those livelihood interventions coming to try to get people out of poverty, but the poverty level almost remains the same. The other thing that I've also seen is with the sexual exploitation and abuse. Sometimes when we are designing programs, we look at the one thing, the problem we are trying to solve, but how about the safety of the people that we are going to work with there? Okay. So we have to look into different aspects of the community. Sometimes you even implement a program and you find the gender parity is so high. Maybe only the males are coming in, and sometimes only the females are coming in, and all that you can only understand it if you're really in touch with the community.
Okay, so I want to ask, what really separates purpose-driven programs from those that are performative?
I beg your pardon on that?
Yes, I was asking, what is the difference between a purpose-driven programs and those that are just performative? Like, what are the red flags? The first red flag you personally look for when assessing sincerity when it comes to your programs generally?
Yeah, the purpose-driven interventions usually come as suggestions from the community. You get to understand the deeply rooted problems that a community is facing, and you interact with them to get to know what solution actually will work best for them. Most times, people who are facing the problem already know the solution to their problem, only that they lack resources to actually solve it and technical capacity. So if a program is not designed with the community, most of the time you find it is solving one problem and leaving others. And sometimes even the problem it is solving is not the exact problem that is really greatly affecting the community. Another thing is that sometimes when you solve one problem and then you create another problem. I have been in this place where you come distribute, for example, food to the community, and then 2 weeks later, they are coming back with more issues for you to solve.
Now, I want you to make the audience understand purpose-driven education. Now, when we say purpose-driven education, what does that really mean in Africa to an African?
Yeah, I will draw my from my experience in Changwale refugee settlement.
Okay.
The purpose-driven education should be an education that is going to benefit the community. For example, an education, you could provide an education to a refugee or somebody in Africa from a vulnerable community. They even get a bachelor's degree, but you find them there. There are so many unemployed, not even benefiting from this education. So to me, purpose-driven education should be relevant, should be an education that when you provide to somebody, it helps them to change the narrative of their life. The struggles they are going through should become easier.
Yes, I think that's a very
that makes sense. Anyway, you always mentioned that, I mean, there's something that comes that say impact is born in proximity. What does that mean?
Yeah, proximity, I mean being close to your community, being close to the people you're serving. So we all know if we wait for impact from the reports, people sit and doctor the reports and then show you these wonderful stories, but when the real life of the people is not changed at all. So with the proximity, like a leader like me, if I am close to the community, I am able to go with an intervention to create a certain impact. And through being close to them, I'm able to actually see if that impact is coming out. And if it is not coming out, if the intervention is not working, I can change, because it is not a static thing. It's something that we can change and twist around to make sure that the intended impact is actually delivered.
Okay. Have you ever thought of being recognized by the government of Uganda for what you're doing for your humanitarian services and for the impact of education that you're doing, impact of education, the kind of service you render to your community? Have you ever thought of being recognized? Like you want to be in the face, you want people to know that this is what P4T is doing?
Yes, I have ever wanted to be recognized, but the perspective around that is that I keep hoping that when I am recognized, the recognition is going to help me deliver the services better, but not just recognition for knowing who Khalid is. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
So I do know that a lot of leaders do not always remain where they want to, make impact. They just do whatever program and then they go away. They don't even check for sustainability. How does your own program, the P4T, ensures that when you start a program, there's continuity even after you have left the community?
Yeah, so most of our programming really looks at community empowerment. Like when we come to a community, we work with local leaders, but even the people that work for us, we employ them from that community. That way, we are sure that even when we leave, the knowledge, the practice will continue. For example, there's a project that ended in December, just recently, and community members are still coming. It is for protection of children and women. Community members are still coming. And some of the staff who were in that project, some of them have now transformed into another project. And I still receive them and say, okay, see so and so, he's going to help you, he's going to guide you to the next point of service. And if it just needs counseling, we still continue providing the service because we deal with the local leaders and we deal with the local members of the local community.
Okay, so P4T, are they doing this alone or they are in partnership with any other organization or maybe the government?
Yeah, with the government, we partner with the Office of the Prime Minister because the protection of refugees in Uganda is under the mandate of the Directorate of Refugees in the Office of the Prime Minister. So we have this memorandum of understanding with the Office of the Prime Minister. But besides that, in our education programming, we have managed to attract some partners through good recognition through our social media platforms. So we've managed to attract some partners, and also recognition through the people we are working with within this community who appreciate the work we're doing. Partners like School for Life Foundation, partners like Partners for Equity, Altenberg Foundation, and we've also partnered with international organizations inside Uganda, like War Child Alliance and Norwegian Refugee Council. So it has been a very long journey. I can't mention all of them, but these are the most recent ones. And the Mennonite Central Committee trusted us when we were still zero, really. We were not anywhere. And they started funding us some 5 years ago.
Oh, yes, you've done so well, beautifully. And you also mentioned empowering women. Your focus is on the children and all that. My question now is P4T planning for the men as well? Do they empower the men, or it is just the women? Because if there is no balance in empowerment for both the male and the female gender, I feel there will be a kind of imbalance in the community. What do you think about that?
So P40 is a youth organization. So our major focus is youth and the women. But in the work we do, we really engage the men, because sometimes you go to a family and you find that the real problem is actually they don't have a means of livelihood. And then you find the man is able to ride a boda boda. Boda boda is a motorcycle taxi.
Okay.
And you link them to an opportunity so that they can start earning an income for the family. So that is the connection. And if anyone tries to empower a woman or a child without involving the man, who is the head of the family in our African setting, then you will just be frustrated. Because even the man, you could give a woman some money to set up a business, and the man takes the money and goes and drinks it.
Exactly.
So we really include men in our leadership and in the programming and benefits.
Okay, so I love the fact that he's saying this right now. I'm liking it, you know. You're just hitting the nail on the head.
Don't look for my trouble. I'll start with the gender war here. Mr. Ameny, when you go into a community, how do you observe the gaps because I'm assuming that different communities have different problems.
Exactly.
Right? How do you understand? How do you identify what they need?
So we right from the start, we used to have what we call the hot topic discussion. So when we go to a community, we start by going through the local leaders. But from the local leaders, we are able to also identify key questions that define the problem of the community. So, for example, we could say, how might we improve girl-child education in Changwali? And when we do that now, when we get the question through the local leaders, we now call for a community discussion. And that is what we call the hot topic session. And we get to understand deeper what the problem is. And we also understand what the potential solutions are. It is so interesting that sometimes we stress a lot looking for the solution when the interaction with the community will actually tell you that if we had this, we would actually solve this problem.
Okay. All right. So one thing I've come to know is that humans naturally want to be appreciated. You understand? Humans love a whole lot of things. And no matter how little what you do, you want to be recognized. Now, when you have people working with you, you have leaders working with you, and they're not recognized, how do you keep them committed to the cause of humanitarian services to a community?
So the way we work with leaders, it is always a collaboration. So we don't come and say we are coming to impact, to solve this and this problem. When we are meeting leaders or potential local partners, like we worked with the local artisan shops, we come and say we have identified this problem? Do you acknowledge that it exists? Yes. And we have these proposed solutions. Would you join us in partnership to solve this problem? Sometimes we even go into paperwork to recognize that we are now partnering with this local community, this local government, or this local business to solve this problem. So we work together, and that is enough recognition, knowing that the organization, most times these businesses are really small. The organization that has come in the place is recognizing me as a partner in solving the problem.
Okay. So have you ever turned down an opportunity because it compromised your purpose?
Yes. This was in 20. Yes, I have ever turned down an opportunity. This organization wanted to come and take over the organization and change it into an Islamic school. Take over the school, not the organization, and change it into an Islamic school, provide free education and food and uniform, everything free. But their vision is very different from us, and whatever made us to start the school is really completely different from what they are doing. For me, it was really a very good thing seeing that parents struggle to pay the little contribution that we ask from them, and somebody is coming to give everything. But we had to say no. I just proposed to them that it is okay. I want this service for the community. I can help you get land from government and you set up this wonderful school for orphans and vulnerable children. But our school, we want to run it because we have a vision that we have the purpose that we want to achieve through the school.
So here a lot of leaders want to be known, to be the ones that initiated a particular project. I know you are like an NGO, right? Even though you say you work with the Vice President's office, or the Prime Minister's office rather. How do you begin to train people to look beyond self or personal aggrandizement, right, or adulation, and focus on fixing the problems that you see in these communities?
Yeah, so most of the people we work with are actually part of this community. I know recognition is usually something that everyone wants.
Yeah.
But you want it from where? Because if you want recognition from the community that is vulnerable, recognizing that this is one of our advocates who is able to solve our problem, then that is a very positive way of recognition. There is also recognition where you are getting recognized so that opportunities can come your way. And that opportunity is coming to help you in the purpose, in what you are doing. That is also something that we really strongly talk to our leaders about. So the recognition we talk about here is not just recognition of an individual. It is the recognition of the purpose that an individual is carrying. And most of the people I work with around here, that is the kind of belief they have. They put forward their purpose before their credentials.
Now, if you were not partnering with some international bodies, or maybe, let's say, the Office of the Prime Minister as well, would you still be in this circle? Will you still be running this humanitarian services to these communities in Uganda that you're doing right now?
Yes, absolutely. I would still be running it. For this community, personally, I'm also a refugee in this community. So for very many years, from 2007 when we started up to 2020, we didn't have even a partnership with the Office of the Prime Minister because we didn't have the long list of requirements that they need us to present and the resources that they want us to show that now this is the resource basket we have to implement. So we just stayed. It is like a self-help initiative. And that is what makes us really unique, because every community we go to, we create a team from the ground, and we show them this is a self-help initiative. So you should actually do what you're doing is just to help yourself. Even the government cannot stop me because I am just helping people in my community. So if I went to another location and I empowered the local people to see it as we are helping ourselves, government can kick me out of that foreign place, but the people I have empowered there will continue supporting themselves. And then we also made it a point that whatever we are doing must be sustainable. So like our education, however small the contribution is, we make sure the parents are making that contribution. So some parents make the contribution in cash, others make contribution in kind. We even have school gardens where some parents just come and cultivate the food that learners are going to eat in this garden. So that is how we look at the sustainability. And for many years before we got funding, that is how we were running it. Some parents even just come every day, once in a week, to come and provide to clean the school environment.
Wow. That's
so Mr. Ameny, if you were to come into a community, right? Because essentially we want to ensure all these communities can stay sustainable. Does your NGO have some sort of programs where you train entrepreneurs or people into different kind of skills and businesses?
Yeah, so we train. Our training for livelihood touches on practical skills, the vocational skills, and then it also looks at the soft skills like the entrepreneurship skills, because most times when we also empower the community, we empower them in groups so that they can support one another. So we also provide training on group dynamics. So those are some of the practical skills, vocational and soft skills that we provide.
Have you ever gone into a community and they resisted what you brought?
Yeah, because they can tell you that we are not interested.
Yeah, so most times really I don't take solutions to them. Most times I go and interact with them and they tell me their problems and they suggest to me the solutions. And since in Africa or in this community, the problems of one community is closely related to the one of another. So when they tell me their problem and their solution, I tell them what we are doing and ask if it is relevant or if it can work in their community. Sometimes what I tell them, they show me that no, this element of the intervention cannot work here. Or it has this gap. And still, they know how to, fix the intervention to localize it to their context. So I've never really gotten any rejection in any community.
Nice. That's nice.
It's nice.
That's nice.
So if Africa is truly transforming education and humanitarian work in the next decade, whose mindset must change first? If we must transform, is it the leaders, is it the funders, or the community?
It is the community. I would say I love working with the community because when I work with the community, when I change the mindset of the community, it even forces them to push leaders to do what they want. And if the leaders don't change, in the next election, the leadership changes.
Okay. And who currently holds the greatest responsibility but the least accountability?
In Africa, I must say the central government hold a very big responsibility. But when it comes to real delivery in the community, whether schools, at least in Uganda, what I know is the institutions of government are the least preferred because those who hold this responsibility don't do a very good job on the ground.
Okay.
So if you're going to give a young person an advice, especially the one that wants to go into something similar to what you already do, what would you tell them to emphasize on or scale up on?
I would ask them to go on a self-discovery journey, understand what appeals to them, understand a personal purpose before they get to have a community purpose. And when you have a personal purpose that you really have a strong conviction in achieving, then working with the community, if it has to do with the community, working with the community becomes easier, because starting is so hard. Starting is so rough. There are days, there are years you will spend not earning a dime. But because of your personal conviction and the purpose you have chosen, you continue doing it. And then secondly, sometimes young people are too ambitious. They want to solve all the problems that they see in the community. When you're starting, you have to have a focus. You must have some things that you 1, 2, 3 things that you're really trying to address, or needs that you're trying to meet. Otherwise, if you spread so wide, then you will get stuck. You may not really progress, go forward at all.
Okay, so have you seen anyone you should, because you're dealing with so many young people, you're dealing with women, have you seen anyone that, due to the services your NGO rendered, they've been able to scale through, they've been able to grow and become successful in a particular area? Can you give us maybe one success story?
Yeah, I have success stories about the beneficiaries, and I also have success stories about people who have worked with us and learned from what we're doing and gotten that inspiration to start something for themselves. One of our students who just completed Senior 4, that is the ordinary education, level secondary education, is a founder of an organization that is providing beekeeping skills. And right now, he is now working with 49 households in the community, and he helps them, provides them with the skills to keep bees for honey and bee venom. He has also succeeded a lot because he's currently serving in the Youth Advisory Board of a big international funding organization in Uganda.
Okay, so what is the most dangerous lie? I know you were talking about some success stories, but for time factor, I want to ask some of the dangerous lies young people are told about success and impact.
Yeah, so if I'm to talk about the dangerous lies, success is presented in a way that it looks easy to achieve. But the reality is not true, because when you see somebody at a level like where P40 is right now, the journey has been rough. And I know what I'm saying is every leader can actually connect with that. So you have to make a lot of personal sacrifice on your side to be able to create impact in the community.
Okay. And what truth must they hold on to?
So the truth that they must hold on to is that, first of all, when you have a personal purpose, then you must have a very high level of persistence, because so many people will say no to you. So many people are going to tell you that what you're doing is not really going to produce, the result that you are talking about. But if you believe in what you're doing and you have the persistence to push up to that result that you aim at getting to, then that is the only way you are going to achieve it. And when you get there, you must remember that you are there to be accountable to the people that you serve. And you stay close. Even when work takes you far, you must find a way to connect with the people you serve as soon as possible.
So if you have advice to give African leaders, from the communities to the local councils to the states, what would that generic advice be?
I would say everyone has a potential to change their narrative. Even the most vulnerable person does not need handouts. But what are we as leaders focusing on? Are we focusing on solving the problem we are seeing, the current problem, meeting the current need, or we are looking at creating a sustainable generational change? And if that is going to happen, we must listen to the people. We must understand the problem very well and the needs and the solutions that they are giving. And then we empower the individual not to meet the current need or solve the current problem, but to change their narrative.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel Khalid Ameny, for joining us on today's show. But before we let you go, you are Uganda. Uganda is a country. What part of Uganda are you from? And what dialect do you speak?
I am actually a Congolese refugee who has been in Uganda since 1997. I was less than 10 years old then. So the dialect I speak is Swahili, not the Tanzanian Swahili, but the Congolese Swahili mixed with English and Lingala. And in Uganda, I also speak many other dialects now, like the Runyoro, where I am, because I'm near Lake Albert, that is far west of the country. I also speak some Luo because that is where I arrived when I first came to Uganda.
Okay, so right now, there are so many languages that you can actually speak because your roots are connected to different places. I saw you're going to greet our audience. I don't know if you're going to speak.
How about use one of them? Let's use one of them.
Maybe one after the other. The Swahili, Congolese.
Or the Lu. Use all the languages that you can speak.
Because this is just Africa. We want the people to feel the vibe of Africa. So we start with dialect. Greeting people and expressing yourself. Maybe 1 minute.
Abari jevaleko iteningo oliotia bonjour. Yeah, I think that's all.
Oh, that's about 5 languages. Wow.
He's right. That was great.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And we hope that when we call for you next time, you will still be available to share your insights.
Thank you too for hosting me here. I'm really happy to have this opportunity to share about my leadership and the work that we're doing here in Uganda.
All right. Thank you very much.